Good afternoon, students. We are again back to English class. This is time it is for the juniors. We had done the prose and poetry, and yesterday we had actually done grammar. Now today I would be starting with non-detail. Non-detail are very easy. They are short stories, easily understand. You can understand them. And in non-detail, you do not have annotations. It's only question and answers and comprehension passages. We shall start with the first lesson, that is so the first lesson is playing the game. And this was written by Arthur Mee. This is a lesson about a young boy who was a cricket buff and loved to play the game of cricket. Okay. So in this lesson, playing the game written by Arthur Mee, it talks about a school boy, Alan. Alan was very fond of playing cricket and he wanted to play on his school team. So he practiced a lot along with his father. His father helped him in bowling and also he showed signs of picking up. So the father also was happy for his son and son also wanted to play on his school team. And when he was selected for the school team, both the parents as well as Alan were very, very happy. He had really shaped well in his bowling. And his father promised him that if their team won, he would buy a new bicycle. So this made Alan even more excited. He really wanted to win this, not only for his parents to be proud of him, but also that his father would buy him a bicycle. On the day of the match, he woke up early and set out towards the ground. His mother waved him off, wishing him all the best. And as he was walking on the road, he came across an old man. This old man was struggling to walk. And there were two reasons also. One thing, it was slightly uphill. You must have seen when there is a slope, going down the slope is very easy, but when you have to climb up the slope, it is slightly difficult. Plus, The wind was blowing. Towards him. If you notice, children, when the wind is behind you, you are literally pushed. It helps you to walk easily. But when the wind is against you, it's even more difficult for you. Not only the wind was against him, but it was slightly uphill. So the man was finding it difficult to walk steadily. And Alan, seeing him, was kind enough and asked him if he could help him. Alan was kind-hearted and asked the old man if he could help him. The man agreed to it and put his hand over Alan's shoulder, and both of them walked. When Alan asked him if he could help, it was because he had lot of time. He had set off early, and he knew that if he runs fast, he could make up for the lost time. If he runs fast, he could make up for the lost time, and agreed to help. Seeing the old man in difficult, being kind-hearted, he went out of the way to help the old man. But unfortunately, the man was very, very feeble and took a lot of time to walk a short distance. To walk a short distance, and this made Alan flustered. He went out of the way to help the old man, thinking that he could run fast later on and be on time to the ground. But the old man was so feeble, so weak, that he was taking very short steps, and they had hardly covered a very short distance. And this made Alan flustered. He knew he was going to be late, and by now the captain would be wondering where he was. All the team members would have already gathered over there. So not knowing what to do, Alan asked the old man where his house was, and that he needed to go to the sports ground. But the old man did not reply. Probably with the wind blowing, he did not hear what Alan spoke. He did not reply. So Alan went closer to him and spoke in his ear, asking him where he lived. So the old man said, just up the hill and round the corner. Now Alan was in panic. He knew he would definitely not have time to reach the ground on time. It was still a long way away and round the corner, meaning it would take him ample time to reach that ground, because the man was very, very slow, taking very small steps. And in the meantime, the old man faltered and fell down. There was a loose stone, and not seeing that, the man tripped over the low stone and fell to the ground. And he could not get up. And he knew that Alan was in desperation to reach the ground. So he quickly took hold of Alan's hand and asked him, "You are not going to leave me, are you? I cannot be alone." So Alan promised him that he would not leave him alone and sat down next to him, wondering who would come by, if anyone, because if anyone passes by, he could hand over the old man to him and run fast towards the ground. But when you are desperate, time flies by. It was as if hours had passed by and no one came. Alan was desperate, and finally, and merry old gentleman, police officer, policeman, a policeman, a happy-go-lucky person, happened to be passing by, and the moment Alan saw him, reported everything, how he was helping the old man who had tripped and needed to be helped towards his home. The policeman was happy, pleasant, and promised Alan that he would see the old man to his place. Now, what did Alan do? He ran as quickly as he could towards the ground. He ran quickly towards the ground, but unfortunately, the game had already started. Bad luck for him, the game had already started. Some other person had taken his place. Seeing this, Alan was highly disappointed. He had so much hopes of winning the game and also making his parents proud and getting a new bicycle. But now he was disappointed, and not only that, the teacher scolded him for not coming on time. Teacher scolded him for not being on time. So, disappointed, he returned home. The moment he knocked on the door, his father opened the door and immediately started praising him. He patted him on his back and said, "Well done, son. We are very proud of you." We are proud of you. Now, what was the feeling of Alan, especially when he knew he did not play the game, and here his father was patting him on his back, saying, "You have done well. We are very proud of you." So he opened his mouth to say, "I didn't play the game." But the father understood and he said, "Yes, you were playing another game. Yeah, I came across the policeman. After Alan had run away, his father was passing by and came across that old man and the police man. And the policeman had told Alan's father how Alan had helped the old man. So the Alan's father was very happy that his son had helped an old man. He was generous, not worrying about the match, had actually sacrificed his time to go out of the way to help an old man. So immediately he went to the market, bought a new bicycle for his son. So when Alan actually, who was disappointed when he heard this, he was very, very happy that he got that his parents were proud of him and also had presented him with the new bicycle. Next day, when he went to the school, he was even more surprised. He hadn't told anyone, but how the students, his classmates, came to know, he couldn't understand, but all his classmates cheered him for his good deed. So here the author wants to tell you that in life there are times when people sacrifice themselves to help others. This is a worthy deed of any person. Here, Alan, though he knew that he would be late to the playground, did not leave the old man who was very feeble and weak and who had fallen down. He waited till such time that a policeman came. He handed over the old man, requesting him to leave him at his place, and then ran to the school. But unfortunately, the match had already started and he could not partake in the match. And not only that, his teacher also scolded him for not coming on time. Disappointed, he went home wondering what he could tell his parents. But fortunately for him, his father was already aware of the facts, having met the policeman and feeling very proud of his son who had made a great sacrifice, went immediately to the market and bought a bicycle for him. Next day, his classmates also cheered him, having come to know about this kind deed, and appreciated and cheered him aloud. So this is what we should be able to do every time, children. There are times when It may be a great sacrifice, but by doing that, you are doing the good day for the day. Good deeds are counted. So at times, go out of the way to help people. Second is the 5 boons of life. By Mark Twain. Mark Twain also was a famous writer for children. If you have come across it, Huckleberry Finn Adventures or Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer. You must have read about Tom Sawyer's pranks in school. There are many stories how he plays. Sorry. Tom Sawyer. He lived with his aunt Polly and younger brother Sid and was always up to mischief. He hated going the proper way, and his best friend was Huckleberry. Huckleberry Finn. Huckleberry Finn's father was a drunkard. He did not have a mother, and the father did not bother about this child. So he was like an orphan roaming around on the streets, wearing ragged clothes, doing whatever he wanted. And this was appreciated by Tom Sawyer because in his home, there were rigid rules. They had to follow, wear proper clothes, go to school regularly, sleep on time and nothing. And for Huckleberry, there was no one to tell him what to do, when to do, how to do. So the stories about Huckleberry, Finn, and Tom Sawyer are well known, well written by the author Mark Twain. In this lesson, 5 boons of life. Now, what do you mean by boons? Boons mean wishes. This is actually addressed by an angel towards man. But here, when we speak of man, it is not one particular man, but every man. A person. In a person's life, God has given us many boons. They are pleasure, love, fame, wealth, and death. And man runs after this. All the 5 boons, out of which only one is very precious, the others are just temporary. In this life, it is only temporary. It is death that is precious, but man does not ever acknowledge that. Man is always running after pleasure, love, fame, and wealth. So in this story, a fairy comes to man and asks him with a basket of 5 boons. She tells very clearly that only one is precious. Think carefully and choose. Now, man, a boy running after pleasure, doesn't even need to think. He immediately says, I want pleasure. Though the fairy cautions him Out of the five, there is only one which is precious. Think carefully. But without any hesitation, he immediately says pleasure. And he leads immediately, the wishes are granted. He leads a pleasurable life. But what happens? Pleasure is only temporary. You cannot have the same thing throughout your life. It's only short-lived. And that's why finally he is so disappointed, not being able to acquire what he wants, is wondering if he can get another chance to choose something worthwhile. So the fairy again comes him with the four wishes. This time pleasure is not there. She brings love, fame, wealth, and death, and asks him again, think carefully. Only one is precious. And then he immediately chooses love. The fairy turns away with disappointment. But the man does not even acknowledge. He doesn't realize why the fairy is disappointed. She is disappointed because he hasn't chosen the right gift. And years pass by, and the fairy man, you can see, is before a coffin of his loved one. He had loved many people, but one by one, they were taken away. They left him. And the last was his beloved, who was lying in a coffin in front of him. And he again feels that love is not the precious thing that the fairy had promised. He realizes that love is also short-lived. Because the people whom he loved, had left him one by one, and he was all alone. So when he sees that, the fairy comes again and asks him to choose again between the three: fame, wealth, and death. So this time he thinks fame, becoming famous. You will be well known. So he chooses fame. But you should realize, the more famous you are, there are many people who would pull you down. They'll be waiting to see you make a mistake so that they can pull you down. So here also he became very famous. But what happens? With fame, you make a lot of enemies. Your reputation is spoiled. And that's how he was no longer popular with the people. Everyone was sadly disappointed with him. There was no one who appreciated him. So again, he was in a despondent moment. And at that time, the fairy came with two wishes: the wealth and death. And this time he realized, what a fool I have been. It is the wealth that is very important. You can buy whoever you want with the wealth. And that's when he decided to go in for wealth. He thought those people who had pitied him, who had been envious of them, he would show them with his wealth. With his wealth, he was going to buy every one of them, make them jealous, full of envy with his wealth. Years passed by, and then the fairy found him in a lonely garret Garret is the topmost part of your house. It's like an attic. Usually, houses have sloping roofs. This small area is where they usually keep unwanted um, stuff, furniture, and everything. And there are no windows but a skylight. A pane of glass is there through which the light filters. So Second page is not there. Okay, doesn't matter. Here, continue. So he wanted death, and death was wanting. The fairy said she had given it to a small, innocent child. Who was a mother's pet. This small child trusted the fairy. When the fairy went to the child with a basket of 5 boons, pleasure, love, fame, wealth, and death. Unlike the man who had chosen one after the other, the innocent child asked the fairy to choose for her, and the fairy chose death for the innocent child. So death was wanting when she came back to man, and the man asked, "What should I do now?" The fairy said, "The evil things of because once when you reach old age, you lead a very miserable life. Old age, most of the time it is a miserable life because no one loves you, or pay attention to you, talk to you. You feel very lonely. You are very lonely. You must have seen children in foreign countries. Now, the author is a Mark Twain, not an Indian. You have to go by their culture and tradition. As you know, in foreign countries, the child is independent right from his childhood. He is very, very independent. Unlike the Indians, the child is not cuddled like we do. The child has his own room since infancy. They have a nursery, maybe with lots of pictures, lot of storybooks, and a big crib. The child is put in the crib and plays around with his toys, with his books and everything. When he cries, the monitor informs the mother. The mother comes, feeds the child or changes his diapers. But basically, a child is very, very independent. As a kid, they are not given pocket money. Here, the Indian kids dole out their hands and ask for pocket money. There, the child earns his own pocket money. He works. How can a child work, you think? There are many things that a child can do which adults can't. They need their help, like climbing up trees and plucking the fruits from the orchard, um, uh, mowing their lawn, or when there is a garage to be cleaned, they help in that. In this way, they earn their pocket money, a small amount, but whatever it is, right from childhood, they have the habit of earn. They are very, very independent, unlike us. Likewise, here a mother scolds the child, even at times whacks the child. But there in foreign, you can neither scold the child and leave alone beating. That's out of questions. A child can call up the cop at any moment and hand over his parents if they abuse them, whether it is physically or mentally. So this is, the child is very, very independent, and in their, when they grow big in their old age, there is no one to look after them. They are put in old age homes, and very rarely the relatives or friends come to visit them. And that's why you lead a very miserable life with no one to talk to them, no one to love or show any kind of sympathy. So that is why death can be can be a way of a precious gift. You can find of that's your way out. Okay. Otherwise, old age, you can be very miserable. So in this way, the fairy asks the man to choose a good gift, precious one, because only one is precious. She brings a basket of 5 bones, but man is always greedy. He never thinks for himself. He is always wanting more and more. Searches for things that are only temporary and not long-lived. It is only at the end that man discovers that death is very a most precious gift, and he had chosen everything other than the most precious gift. So children, when you choose anything, never be greedy. Man always feels the other side of the field is green. When anyone has anything, we start craving for that thing. We never think what we have is sufficient. God has given us, we have all the limbs, eyes, ears, all our senses are working. We have a roof overhead, clothes to wear, food to eat. But man is always wanting more and more. And in this way, Mark Twain explains the 5 boons of life, which can be very and how man runs after, is very greedy and runs after things that are temporary. The last one that I would take up today is the short-sighted brothers. It's a folklore. Chinese, what do you mean by folklore? In ancient times, most of the stories were told by mouth, passed from one person to the other. And that's how legends and epics all come into being. So in this short-sighted brothers, we are talking about three brothers. All the three brothers lived on the outskirts of a Chinese town, and all three were short-sighted. And more than short-sighted, they lacked in morals, trying to deceive each and every one. The elder brother, out of this, the elder brother handled the finances. Now, the second brother was jealous. He wanted to handle the finances. So one day went to the elder brother and told him, you have a short sight. How much money you are getting and how much you are giving, you have no idea because of your short sight. So let me do the handling of the finances while you take rest. Hearing this, the youngest brother objected. He said, you also have equally short sight. You are no better than the elder brother. Let me handle the finances. While they were quarreling, the elder brother decided, we will test our vision. To see who has a good eyesight. To do this, he decided that they would test their vision. How would they test their vision? There was a monastery close to their house. You know what a monastery is, children? Monastery is where the monks live. And they were going to put up a tablet over the doorway. And in that tablet, there would be something written. Now, whoever could read whatever is written on the tablet, it would show that they had a good vision and they will handle the finances. At this, the other two brothers, the second and the third brother, also agreed to the suggestion of the elder brother, and at that the elder brother said, okay, since we have agreed, you'll both go away, let me take a nap. But what did the elder brother do? He did not take a nap, but went straight to the monastery and asked the monk over there, what I heard that you are going to put up a tablet. What is written on the tablet? So the monk replied that On the tablet, it was written as, be honest at all times. So the elder brother, when he heard what was going to be written, he felt very happy because it was a sly way of learning the truth. But he wanted to handle the finances and he knew he had the short sight. So he decided to go about in the underhand way. He went to the monk and asked him what was written on the tablet. And the monk replied, be honest at all times. It didn't register to him what it meant. He came home very happily, and after some time, the second brother, without the knowledge of the other two brothers, went to the monastery and got hold of the same monk. The monk was surprised why everyone is asking about the tablet, and he also explained the same quotation. He said, this is a quotation by the Chinese Confucius. He was a famous Chinese astrologer, and he had written these words. So when he answered, be honest at all times, the second brother asked, what else is there? Any decoration? So he said, yes. All around there is a flowery decoration. So he went away back home, happy that he had discovered. Then the third brother came and he also asked the same question, what is written on the tablet? So he said, be honest at all times. Then he asked, is there anything else written on it? So he said, yes, the name of the Wangli, the donor who had given the tablet, is written on the right-hand corner of the tablet. He also went back home happy. All three were happy, and next day they set out for the monastery. As soon as they came near the monastery, the elder brother said, oh, I can see the inscription very clearly. It is written, be honest at all times. So the second brother said, okay, not bad. You have a good eyesight. What else do you see around it? The decoration. So the elder brother said, what decoration? He said, I can see a flowery decoration all around the tablet. So then the third brother said, very good. He claps his hand and he said, but I can see the name of the donor at the side, at the bottom side on the right-hand side. Just then, the monk who had answered them the previous day comes out, seeing them, says, oh, you have come to see the tablet. I'm so sorry. Last night we couldn't put up the tablet. We are going to put it up tonight. So basically, the tablet was not there. And yet, these brothers said that it was written and all description was given. And that's when they realized that they had been very foolish, and it did not register to them what was actually written there. Be honest at all times. So this is a moral for everyone. Whatever may be the difficulties that you come across, never give in to lies, because one day or the other, you're caught up with it. So children, be honest at all times, even in your work. When you don't know the answer in the exam, Do not copy from the others. Try to be honest. If you know, write the answer. If you don't know, just leave it alone. Thank you, children. Let's catch up tomorrow. Allah Hafiz.